Hello everyone, this is Bentley from Kent, Washington, and today we're going to do several updates around the fish room. So as you can recall, this of course is the guppy tank. They're nibbling on some Sarah Onib tabs, but aside from some of the new fish that came in recently, so those shellies, those green dragon plecos, I've actually had a lot of new plants show up, and I really haven't talked about them, so I kind of want to go through and show you guys some of the cool stuff that showed up. So first, right in dead center here, there's a little thing of Blixa. And then around that, you'll see those round green leaves. That's a Lagonendra species, Marbled red, that I got from tissue culture that's growing out. You can see that little green crypt there, and there's a few more behind the stargine here. That is all crypt Becketi Petchai pink. And then there's a thin line of aerial column behind that. And finally, hiding in the shade of all our Java fern here is a massive crypt Nuri. Check that thing out. That's like easily some of the biggest crypt Nuri I've ever seen. With the exception of the tissue culture plants, all of those came from the same family, the Geilers, who gave me all those shellies and stuff. Well, you'll notice above the guppy tank, I have some trays. So let's talk about those. If you'll remember, the chameleon rainbows, so the Chilatharina ungulums, I've been conditioning them with a spawning mop. Well, little algae hit that tank, mostly on that spawning mop. It was time to pull it out. So I went through, I fished out the eggs, and I'm trying a new process so I can teach you guys some basics of an easier way to do this if you have a heated room. So you can see we got a clean one there. Here's one where all I've done is put some tap water, a tiny amount of dechlorinator, and you don't even have to use dechlorinator if you let it sit long enough. I let this sit for at least 24 hours. I prefer 48 when I can. All it is sitting in the room to heat up. Now you see this third one? Eggs. So you can see if you look at all those little specks, those are all ungulum eggs. So I've gone through, I picked, I think there was something like 16, 17 eggs. Not a ton, but still a good amount. And in the fourth tray, we have brand new ungulum babies. It's going to be real hard to see because these guys, at the time of filming, one is 2 days old and the other two were the same morning I filmed this. So here on the left side of that tray, there's one. It's a little hard to see him toward the bottom there. You can just barely make out kind of a speck with a thin line coming off her tail. And then as we pan over here on the right-hand side against the wall, we'll focus and you'll be able to see almost dead center of the right wall. You can see one little guy like just staring at the wall. And there's a third guy in there. But this is another way that you can hatch rainbow eggs or any super small egg that is really weak, is by using trays like this with just clean tap water and bring them to temp. Now we'll jump over to the shallow tank, and you'll notice there's some Anubias floating here. And you might, if you're kind of an Anubias hound, notice some patterns right away in this stuff. So there's 4 total. The first 3, this guy here, oh look at those beautiful white speckled leaves. The second one, you notice not very much color at all. And then the third one that we're about to show, they're all 3 the same. That's Anubias Marbled. These are coming from a friend who's moving out of the country. He won't have time to take care of his plants. And then the final 4th one there, that beautiful one with lots of white, that's an Anubias Pinto. So he gave me a screaming deal. I paid him a little bit of money, but I got 4 Anubias, 3 marbles, 1 Pinto, as well as a few very small Bucafelandras. I mean, they're teeny tiny. I got to grow them out. It's going to take a long time, but they're all going to go somewhere in the shallow tank. I've still got to figure that out. These are still acclimating, really, in the grand scheme of things, but be looking forward to that. And then these guys, I haven't really shown them a lot. I think I showed them when I first got these fish from Gary when he made his trip up to the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society. These are Melanitania Bowmani, so Bowman's rainbow fish, not Bowmani, very different. You'll notice like the most active, largest fish in the tank, and he just went around behind the Bulbitis and came forward here. That is a male, and if you look at the very top of his head when he tilts himself and zips around, you'll notice it's a slightly different color than his body. He has just hit sexual maturity very recently, within the last, I'd say, 3 weeks. And he's starting to kind of do that like little forehead lamp or forehead stripe that they do. He's starting to get his good color in. You can see little hints of yellow in the tail, and if you look really, really closely as he's zipping around, or some of these other fish, you'll see a thin set of red stripes above that black line. That is pure indication of the Bowman Rainbows. These guys are super cool. Very similar to Bowmani. They stay a little smaller than, say, like the Ayamaru Bowmani, but about the size of, say, your Atinjos, your Ooters, but they have beautiful yellow color with little thin red stripes. Very cool fish, not very common, although steadily more people are getting them, but really, for the most part, it's only the hardcore rainbow nerds that have these guys because they take even longer than a Bowmani to show their color. As you can see here, these guys are, you know, good size, they're ready to breed, and they're showing very little color, but if you're willing to wait, give these guys 1 to 2 years, and I'm serious, 1 to 2 years on these guys, they are a knockout. They're such a cool fish. And they're not very common in the hobby, which means because they take so long and they're not very common, the likeliness to see them in something like a store is very low. Now you got your hardcore rainbow nerds, your Gary Langes, your Eric Bodrocks, your Lucas Bretz, of course. They're going to have these kind of fish. So if you have a really hardcore rainbow nerd near you, see if they have these, because they're really cool and they're very different and also very active. Finally, I did a little cleaning on the glass of the Blue Dream Shrimp tank, which is actually sits directly to the left of that Bowmani tank. So I just wanted to kind of show them. They've really settled in. They're doing fantastic. This is a cool water tank. Don't forget that. So my house sits at about 70 degrees typically, which means these guys are really kind of in like 66, 67 degree water, which is perfectly good for these guys. And you can see they're just kind of zipping around. There's a couple down on the rocks, swimming around on the glass, on that the Pelia right in front there, and you look all over the place, you'll see them like way in the back underneath that Anubias. There's some. I recently saw a couple females that are buried, so I'm looking forward to getting new babies out of this group. Just super, super excited. These came from the amazing Brad, or as we like to call him, B-Rad Potato. For those of you who hang out in a lot of the chats, that's B-Rad. He gave those to me. Really, really cool. They've been doing fantastic. And in a quick count, without like really trying to look, there's easily like 25 of these guys. And you know, I know he gave me somewhere between like 35 and 50 in a bag. It's hard to count, you know, shrimp. There's so many of them, they cluster up. It's really hard to count them, especially he gave me some smaller guys, just so that I could get more instead of a few big guys and not impact like his breeding colonies. But I just wanted to give you guys these few updates, kind of check a bunch of stuff out. As always, guys, you know, let me know down in the comments. Did you like this stuff? Give me a like. You know, share it if you think this information is cool for somebody, or maybe like some of my other educational content. But if there's something that you saw in this video that you would really love to see more details on, or maybe there's something else in a past video where you want even more information on, shoot a comment to me. I'm really, really active. I do my best to answer questions, all that kind of stuff. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. And stay awesome.